Tripods for video are distinctly different from tripods made for photography. And the main reason for this is that the camera on the video tripod actually moves during shooting. So what are the differences in construction? I'll take a look using the budget Benro tripod that I have been using for the last several years since transitioning from photo to video. Now this is a typical video tripod. The Manfrotto 190B, B for black. Single tube, telescoping legs, center column, and either a ball head or a 3-axis head. Contrast, this is the Benro KH25N video tripod. It's the most basic and cheapest of the Benro range. I believe it's been superseded by the almost identical KH25P. Price is still something around $300 Australian, so it's pretty cheap as video tripods go. It's rated to support 5 kilos or 11 pounds. Now, video tripods typically have legs like this, all these tubes, whereas photo tripods have telescoping single tube legs like this. Now, the reason is the attachment at the top. In the video tripod here, the attachment is quite wide, and this makes the tripod much more stable. Now, not all video tripods are like this. Some very expensive video tripods, like Miller, for instance, have single tube legs. But I operate at the cheap end of things, so I'll leave that here. Now, the legs are aluminium. 3 stages, 1, 2, 3. That's standard for video tripods to have 3 stages, just as photo tripods. It has 2 clamps on each leg, one here and one at the bottom here. Now the Benro also has these interesting little clamps. When it's folded up, you clamp the legs together with these clamps, and it holds the whole thing together for storage or transport. Quite clever. It has plastic feet, and these can be screwed back to reveal spikes. That one still can be. They can get a bit corroded if you use them in seawater, I tell you. I'll tell you that for nothing. Now, as you can see, the weight is about 3.5 kilos. Now, opening it up, you'll see another feature of video tripods, which you won't find on photo tripods, is this. This is a spreader, which keeps the legs braced a certain distance apart, makes the whole thing much stiffer. Now, this one on the Benro is not adjustable. More expensive ones are adjustable so that you can move the legs out, but in this case, they're not. The minimum height of this tripod at its minimum height in the first stage is 740 millimeters. Now, make it higher. We operate these clamps, and these clamps are quite easy to operate. Quarter turn is all you need, and they don't require much force to lock them up tight in place. And I'll come back to that in a later video, that some tripods require an awful lot of force in order to do the clamps. Let's undo the clamps and raise the tripod up to its second stage maximum height. And that height to the top at the second stage is 1130 millimeters to the base plate. Now, this is a useful height, but I'd often need to go higher, to shoulder height, for instance, or eye height. And getting to the next stage is quite awkward, as we've got to reach down to the clamps at the very bottom of the legs, and we have to reach down to all 3 of them while holding the tripod, supporting whatever's on the rig, then adjust the height, and then reach down again to clamp all 3 of them up. And that is quite awkward, but that's just the way it is. unless we go to the very expensive tripods, which like a Sackler, has a single clamp at the top, and that clamp undoes all the clamps all the way down the legs in one go. So you just have to do the 3 clamps at the top, and then you can adjust the tripod to its maximum height. But this is not in that class, so we just have to put up with those 3 clamps. Now, if I undo those bottom clamps, we can get the tripod up to its maximum height, which will be 1550 millimeters to the base plate, and that puts the camera at around eye height. Now, personally, I can't envisage going much higher than that, because you're going to need to stand on a box to access the camera, or on a ladder or something. In any case, if you need to go higher than that, you can't do it with this Benro tripod. Now, when the tripod is fully extended like that, it's at its least stable, and it's supported only by the single tube at the bottom of the legs. Now, the Benro comes with a head, a video head. It's a kit. In that case, it's got legs and a head. Now, unlike a photo tripod, the top of the tripod is a bowl rather than flat, and a half ball fits into it with a clamping screw to secure it. Let me show you how that operates. Here we have a clamping screw, which we can undo, and we can take the head off. Now the head is attached, as we can see, to a half bowl thing here, and sorry, half ball. I keep getting them confused. You've got a half ball here, and here you've got a bowl, and the ball fits into the bowl, and you can put it in there, and you can change the angle of the head. This allows you to adjust the head to level without having to adjust the legs individually. So you undo your clamp, level it up, and clamp it up. And to assist you in doing that, there is a level in here. Now, unfortunately, the level is underneath the base plate here, so you can't actually get your head over it directly to have a good look at it. And that's probably the same on most heads. It would be nice if they had an extension to this part coming out here, and they had the bubble level on that. Then you'd be able to see it and get your level down properly. Now, usually this half ball has a 3/8 stud on top of it, and then a head can screw onto that, so that the head and the ball can be upgraded separately. In this case, the ball is only 60 millimeters, which is as small as you could possibly make it. It's really too small for accurate level adjustment. I prefer to have a 75 millimeter bowl and ball, and they do go up to as big as 150 millimeters for really big cameras. Now, as you'd expect, at the price point of this thing, the head is as basic as it gets, but it is functional. Whereas on a photo tripod head, movement is available in all 3 axes, a video head moves in only 2. So you can pan, or you can tilt, or you can do both at the same time. And you do this during shooting. And that's a reason why the tripod has to be more rigid and stable than a photo tripod. Because with a photo tripod, you set it all up, you lock it in place, and then you take your hands off it and shoot. But with the video tripod, you've got your hands on it all the time, and you're moving the thing around. So that tripod needs to be more stable than a photo tripod. Now, yet another difference between photo and video tripods is drag. Video heads are often called fluid heads. At our end of the market, this fluid is most likely thick grease between 2 plates clamped together loosely. And you can then move one plate with respect to the other, but the grease, the friction in the grease, allows you to move it only slowly and steadily. So in this case, we can do this pan, and it'll move nice and slowly and steadily. It won't jerk, and we get a nice smooth motion. Same thing for the tilt. we have a fluid drag built into that as well. Now, in more expensive tripods, of course, this drag in both cases is adjustable. We can make it stiffer or less stiff, or we can actually turn it off altogether. You can't do that in this case. The drag is either on or the tripod is locked. There's nothing in between, there's no adjustment. Now, let's talk about balancing and counterbalancing. These are not the same thing. They sound the same, but they're not. Now let's just demonstrate this. And I'm going to put a pretty large camera on this tripod. This is the Blackmagic 6K Pro. And we slide it on there and lock the plate in place. Now, I have deliberately unbalanced that so that most of the weight of that camera is forward. And if I release the clamp on the tilt here, we see what happens. It just falls forward, as you might expect. Now, we'd say that the camera is unbalanced there. It's just not balanced properly. We can move the camera back on the plate here to a certain position where it is balanced, like so. I think that's balanced. Let's take the drag off. Oh, not quite. Let's move it back a bit more, not too much. Take the drag off. Oh, still going forward. All right, so I've balanced the camera on there now, and with the clamp off, so it's on drag. It won't tilt forward. But here's the thing: if we move it into a forward position, it might just stay there. It's not going to do it for me. We move it back here. It pretty much stays in place. Stays in place. Stays where it is. Most of the time, it'll stay roughly where it is. That's because the tripod head has some counterbalance built into it. It has enough counterbalance to balance this camera. Still wants to fall forward. Let's come back even further. I have to be careful because there's no stop on this plate and it might just fall out if I move back too far. All right. That is counterbalanced, pretty much. Now, more expensive cameras have adjustable counterbalance. You can raise it or lower it to match the weight of the camera that you're putting on the tripod. The Benro has a fixed counterbalance, which seems to be roughly equivalent to a camera weight of about 3 kilos. I think that's roughly what the Blackmagic weighs with that lens on. Now let's see what happens, however, if we put a much lighter camera on here. This is just a little Sony. I'll slide that on. We'll lock it in place. And with the drag off, let's see what happens if we tilt it back and forward. Now, it's not balanced at the moment. It wants to go forward, so we'll pull it back a bit. Get it centered. All right, now you can see what's happening here. If we pull it back here, it wants to go up to the neutral position. If we push it forward, it also wants to go up to the neutral position. It's not quite balanced there. We pull it back a little bit and see what that does. Wants to go forward, up to the neutral position, wants to go up to the neutral position in both cases. So we have counterbalance operating here, but the counterbalance is stronger than the weight of the camera. So instead of slumping forward or slumping backward, it wants to come back up to that neutral position. So that's counterbalancing operating, or in this case, not operating correctly. As I say, in expensive cameras, expensive tripod heads, that counterbalancing can be adjusted. So you can set it to whatever the weight of your camera is, and then you'll be able to position your camera in any degree of tilt, and it'll just stay there. It won't move forward or backward, and it certainly won't slump. You do have to be sure, of course, that you have got your quick release plate clamped in place, and that it has safety stops on it, so that the camera doesn't slide out and bounce on the floor when you tilt forward or backward. Let's come back to the head. This is the Benro quick release plate, which comes with the head. It's similar to a Manfrotto plate, but it's not quite the same. This Benro one slides in, and once it has clicked in, there are safety stops to stop it going out forward and stop it going out backward. You can clamp it up using that screw, and it's fixed in place. Now, there is a disadvantage with that thing, in that it will interfere with something sitting on top of there. So you need to set up that screw in such a way that you can clamp it without it hitting the camera above. I should have shown you that before. Perhaps I'll show you that now. Anyway, to get the plate out, there is a button here which you can push in, and that allows the plate to come past the safety stop. But just while we're here, just put this plate on this camera, and I want to just demonstrate one little problem with this head. You see, if this is turned around, it is going to interfere with the camera. So you might not be able to tighten that up unless you have ensured that you've got it in the right place. You can change its position, because you can pull it out on its spring and turn it around. You know what I mean. These things are quite common. Now, as I said, that Benro plate is quite similar to the Manfrotto 501 plate, but it's not identical. One of the things is that it's a slide-in plate. It doesn't drop in. I much prefer to have a drop-in plate. It's much easier to position the camera in the plate. With the slide-in plate, you really have to get down on a level with the plate to make sure that you've got it lined up to slide it in. It also takes up room at the back here, because you've got to start off with the camera back here and slide it in. If you've got rails on with a battery at the back, you may not have room to get back here to slide it in. So that's an issue. Now, a more important issue than that is that if you're using a Manfrotto 501 plate, it'll fit on here, but it won't hit the safety stops. It'll hit the front one, won't hit the back one. Demonstrating that, this is a Manfrotto plate. This is a Manfrotto 501 PL, and we'll slide it in. Doesn't want to go in. All right. Slide it in. It doesn't click in place. You can push it forward, and it hits the front stop. So it won't slide out forward. But it doesn't engage on the rear stop, so it'll just slide straight out backwards. And that's an issue if you're using an actual Manfrotto plate, or a newer, for instance, a newer Manfrotto 501 compatible plate. It won't hit the stops on this head. It's the front one, not the back one. That is dangerous. I know you can say, yes, I'm always going to be careful, I'm going to have it clamped up, but sometimes you might not. Well, let's sum up. It's not an awful tripod, but it's as cheap as you're going to get and still be adequate. It's reasonably solid, though I have to say I took it out not long ago to do some filming at the beach. I set the tripod up, I set my 6K Pro up on it. Now, it was quite a windy day, and the wind doesn't just blow the tripod about, which wouldn't have been quite so bad, but it actually blows me about, and I do block a fair bit of wind. So I found it very hard to pan smoothly because the wind was moving me about. And, you know, as much as you try to move the head around at a constant rate, it's very hard to do it. One trick that you can use, though, which I've seen, is you can put an elastic band on here and pull the elastic band, and that dampens the vibrations or the inconsistencies in the strength of your pull. It makes it a bit smoother. The one thing you have to be aware of, though, I mentioned this in passing, when you're panning, you must be careful not to pan too quickly. If you're shooting at 24, 25 frames per second, the rule is that you should go through one frame width in about 7 seconds. If you're going much faster than that, you'll find that on the video you get little jumps and jerks as you go around. That's not happening on the tripod, that's happening in the actual film recording. Now, one way to avoid that is to shoot at 48 or 50 frames per second while you're panning. You have to show it, edit it at that speed, and that will even out the little jerks and judders, make the thing much smoother. So, what else can I say about it? Well, one thing I do like about it, there is one thing I like, and that is these clamps. I like these clamps. They are very easy to operate, quarter turn, and they don't require a great deal of force to operate. And they're also, the method by which you operate them, the rotation, doesn't it doesn't cause you to move the tripod in some way or other. Some clamps operate by pulling out this way, and well, they operate against the well, it's unnatural, put it that way. I'll demonstrate that later in my next video when I talk about the small rig heavy-duty carbon fiber tripod legs that I recently bought to upgrade from this unit. Well, I think I'm going to leave it there. So until my next video, look after yourselves, and may your God go with you if you happen to have one.